Hello and welcome to the Favourite Football Channel podcast. I'm James Killick, and with me today are Daniel Fitzpatrick.
Hello everyone.
Benjamin Howard.
Handball.
Ellis Ballard.
Hello.
And James Brett.
Hello everyone.
So before we dive into the action, let's do our listener review. This week is from Stephen Williams Jr., who gave us a 5-star review with the heading The Best Football Podcast. And his comment was, love these guys. This has definitely become my favourite football podcast. Highly recommend.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah,
Thank you, Stephen.
I'm liking his kind words every week.
Yeah.
Gives me an ego boost. Thanks, Junior.
Okay, and the next thing is thank you to everybody who signed up to our Patreon. It means a lot to us. It's really great for the channel. And if you'd like to support us financially, you can do so by going to patreon.com/favourite football channel. Okay, guys, let's get into the action then. So this first half, we are going to focus on a certain rule. That is the handball rule.
Oh.
I'm sure you guys have enjoyed it this weekend. So just to start off, before we get into the 3 games most affected by it, yes, there were 3. I'm just going to quickly read you some of the rule. So these are the rules, and let's see if they were implemented. So IFAB have amended the handball law to ensure an accidental handball will only be punished if it occurs immediately before a goal is scored. It is not an offence if after an accidental handball the ball travels some distance, pass or dribble, and or there are several passes before the goal or goal scoring opportunity. If the ball hits a player who has made the body unnaturally bigger, then a foul will be awarded. IFAB determined that a hand-arm above shoulder height is rarely a natural position, with some exceptions such as when a player is falling permitted. So I'm just going to read them 3 lines. Do you think that's been implemented like that? Because I don't.
Some of it, and then some of it is very grey area.
I mean, I didn't even understand it when you were reading it out. I was thinking, wow, what's going on?
Hopefully that's the rules and not me.
Yeah, many words.
It just sounds like a load of bollocks.
What was the bit about it's very rare that an arm is above shoulder height or something?
That's the bit I find very vague and bullshit.
Stood out to me. I've had determined that hand arm above shoulder.
Jumps.
Yeah, exactly.
Or turns or anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see what? Did you see Doherty today in the Tottenham game when they kicked the ball against him? He had his arms behind his back and he was holding his hands with his arms out on his side, and he kind of jumped and went to the side and blocked the ball. I think that is perfect, how he did it there. There'll never be a handball. But everyone else sometimes flails their hands all the time. And their arms.
You can't expect a defender to do that all the time, put their hands behind the back all the time. It's just,
it depends if you know about it or not. Obviously, Doherty could see it come towards him, which means he's able to exaggerate his movement of putting his arm behind his back, which he did. However, in that second incident, whoever it was Eric Dier, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
He was facing the completely different direction to the ball, had no idea that the ball was coming towards him, let alone his arm, and he's got penalised for that. So,
I know, but his arm as well, though, I don't know what he was doing. He was like, one of those wavy men's, like in America, like inflatables, and like his hand was just shaking, like a windmill, basically.
I think it's because he was mid-air after jumping for the ball, wasn't it? And that's, you know, if you're mid-air and you're going down and your arm is still sort of lingering, it just happens naturally. It's just a natural movement. I don't know.
Use your arms for stability. That's what it's there for.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous rule. I don't know how it's been passed through, to be honest. Like obviously, I think you're going to touch on what Hodgson's going to say anyway, but you know, he basically says exactly that. Like, how has this managed to come into the game? Because it's seemed to have made a real impact already from the first, 2 or 3 weeks we've had football, and I'm not happy.
No, so the comments obviously from Roy Hodgson, whose team obviously were affected by the new rulings, really. This is the part, obviously it was a very lengthy statement, I won't read it all. This is the bit, I guess, that hurt the most. I just find it very disappointing that the game I love and believe in is being reduced to this level, where every week games are being decided on so-called penalty decisions for handball, which aren't handball. Unfortunately, instead of the quality of football today between the 2 teams, which I thought was actually very good and probably worthy of 2 teams who have started the season so well, all of the discussion is going to be about handball or not. And he's right, isn't he? I mean, this is a guy who's been in the game for how long? And when
it's
you
also
hear him
a guy
say
that benefited from it last week.
Yeah, he actually said that.
He said the same thing last week, though, that it was never a penalty. So he's obviously said it last week. And
with his beliefs, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he mentioned actually in the thing today, he said, I didn't agree with it last week, I don't agree with it this week. And we even saw Steve Bruce, didn't we, come out today and say that he didn't agree with it when his team benefited. So, I mean, it is a complete mess. What can we do? Is there anything we can do now? Or is this going to be one of the things where it gets reviewed at the end of the season when it's been a year of shit?
There needs to be a change straight away. Just change it straight away.
Last year, there was obviously a shit ton of VAR chat. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember last year everyone bitching or whining about a handball rule not being right. But that wasn't a specific issue, was it, really?
But they've changed it.
It feels like that's what I mean. Why did they change it? I don't remember it being a problem last year. It's a bit like I was moaning about when De Gea had to retake the penalty last week because he stepped an inch off the line. No one was complaining about that last year either. No one cares if the goalkeeper takes a little step forward when he's trying to save a penalty. Same as I don't remember handball being a big issue last year. It feels like there's things that were not a problem that they've tried to fix for no real reason and have ended up making it a lot worse.
I mean, how has it even got to that, the process of actually just being implemented into the game? Surely they're asking, referees, managers, players about these things before they implement them, because they can't just put it through. Surely there has to go through some sort of governing body and I don't understand how this has happened.
I think every new rule change that's really going to affect the gameplay should be put to some sort of vote or something. You should get the captain from every Premier League side or whatever to come in and review and see what they think and then vote whether it comes in or not, because they're the people on the pitch that actually can see the impact that it will have on the actual matches. I don't know who it is that makes these decisions at the moment.
I think it's the FA that have put it through. I actually do feel sorry for the officials and the referees because obviously they're just reinforcing what they've been told pretty much. And the FA at the moment are just hiding behind the refs. The refs are getting all the shit for it, all the abuse, and the FA just sitting there really quietly saying nothing when it's their stupid rules that have been put in place.
Yeah,
see the amount of stick the ref got in the Brighton Man U game.
Yeah, but that's a completely different thing, though. I agree. It was a penalty. It was easy handball. But the trouble I have with that decision is you've blown the full-time whistle. That is game over, in my opinion. You can't reverse the decision.
That's the rules.
But it should be game over, though. That's like saying, let's draw back the game last week because the decision didn't go their way last week.
If it's literally initially just happened, right before the whistle, and, obviously VAR still got to do its checks, then it's basically still in play. I think that was the correct decision. That's
correct. It was correct. But Brighton obviously hated it. I was kind of using an example because she was saying everyone's hiding behind the refs now. But that referee got so much stick. And I don't know what his name is. But, sad man getting shouted out by Lallana. But there's one today as well. Apparently Kane I'm not entirely sure, but he got sent off after the game.
No, it wasn't. It was the assistant ref. No, it was the assistant coach, sorry.
Assistant coach was sent off.
Yeah.
Do you think then, going back to the handball rule, I've obviously done a lot of reading around what everybody's saying about it, and one of the theories is that obviously the Premier League, I mean, it is football, but it's also this product, isn't it? It's drama and it's, all of these things as well. Do you think we're trying to, or, whoever really is coming to these decisions, do you think it's to implement the extra drama, the extra, even like the little clips? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it for that? Because it can't actually be for the rule, can it? Because everybody knows at any level, any football fan. I've not heard one person say it's a good idea. But
we don't want the drama, though. Although everyone's in lockdown, but we don't want the drama. Obviously, everyone watches football because they love it.
Fucking game. That's what I want.
But handball back in the day was if it was deliberate or not.
Exactly. Have you got an unfair advantage?
It's what you should common sense.
On purpose. Yeah,
if we can see if it's a handball or not, and when it's like arms a little bit out from, I think it's maybe talk about it more in the Palace game, like Joel Ward's. That's not handball. No way. It's like his arm's like a little bit away from his hip. That's really ridiculous.
I think
that was another poor decision, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think these rules as well, the way they've been amended is it's really to benefit, and I guess usually we would say it's a good thing, but to really benefit the attacking team. If we look, and this is obviously the only game we haven't really mentioned yet, the West Brom-Chelsea game, that last goal, the ball's floated in, I think it's Werner, it hits his arm, and then obviously there's a shot.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, is it Havertz?
Yeah, it was Havertz. Yeah.
Havertz, sorry. Havertz, it hits his arm, which, okay, fine. I thought it was a handball. But I counted it today. I watched it a few times. Within 3 seconds, there's a goal. Now, the rules that I read out to you, just that little clip, there was a part here to say, if after an accidental handball, the ball travels some distance or there are several passes before the goal. Now, that didn't happen, did it? It was 3 seconds.
I think it was 1, maybe 2, I think at most. I think basically if it's not, I think I was seeing this sort of coverage on Match of the Day when they were discussing it. I think it was like Alan Shearer and Gary Lineker.
Oh, I didn't see that. What did they say?
Basically what they were sort of saying was that if it isn't, so obviously, in that moment just after it sort of brushed his arm, if a defender's not there to basically kick it out, or then that's it, that's your advantage or so-called advantage as a defender gone, and then it's pretty much game on if it's passed somewhere else. If he handballed it and then some put it straight in the net straight away, that would be seen as unfair advantage. But I think it's just for that one benefit of the doubt for the defender to try and do something to stop that. And if it's been passed elsewhere and it's scored, then I think that's it. So like you said, there's not a lot of protection for defenders, really. You feel like the advantage is firmly in the attacker's corner.
Yeah, to me that sounds like a lot of bollocks. But yeah, go on, Dan, sorry.
Last season, I was like, when we played against Sheffield, Rice handballed it really far back in the pitch, right? And right at the beginning of the movement, and so many passes happened. So how can they go from calling that? Obviously, they changed it this year, haven't they? But how can they go from that being disallowed because it was a handball, which was maybe 30 passes before the actual goal? A bit of exaggeration, but whatever. And compared to one pass away is now not the unfair advantage sort of thing.
I tell you what, Dan, they make it up as they go along. They don't.
They do.
It's a bit extreme
that way, doesn't it?
It's a bit extreme. You've gone from one real extreme to the other. What do you think, Ellis?
Yeah, don't like it. Get rid. I'll just write a new rule. Literally, I'll write it on a napkin and it'll make more sense. I think the main thing is what James Brett said is about then for it to be handball, it's got to be some degree of intention. Anything accidental, even if his arm is way up, waving in the air, it just doesn't seem fair, does it? Because the whole point of handball is that you move your hand towards the ball and stop it with your hand, or try and disrupt the play, or block the pass, or block the shot. Anything that you didn't mean to do, it just doesn't seem right. And at the moment, it only has to clip. It got all the way back to the Champions League final 2 years ago, which Liverpool benefited from. Do you remember the penalty right in the first couple of minutes?
Yeah.
Even that wasn't a handball, and that was years ago now. Because Mane just blasted it, and was it Sissoko? Can't remember now, but he didn't have a choice. His hand was just lingering there, and it bounced off it. Even that wasn't a handball. It obviously needs a major relook at. But like I said at the start, I don't even remember it being a big problem last year. So even if it's as simple as reverting to whatever the rules were last year and getting on with it, that'd be fine by me.
I don't like it where it's say a ball's getting crossed in, it's not a shot or anything, it accidentally brushes the hand, and that's a handball. Whereas I think if it's accidental, the arm is quite wide and it's blocked a shot on goal, I feel like it's definitely a handball. And obviously a deliberate one would be a handball.
Yeah.
But if it blocks a cross or a pass, which nothing's really going to come from it, I don't think that should be a handball, deliberate or accidentally, sort of thing. But deliberately, sure.
It's circumstantial, though, isn't it? That's the thing. You've got to look at the situation. Even, from the different examples we've seen in these matches earlier, it depends how, close the defender is to the attacker. If you're in point-blank range and that ball's getting fired at your pace, you have no chance at all to move your arm. It's not physically possible. It defies logic. It defies logic and science, even, that you're not going to be able to move your arm.
It's like the first game week, Leeds game against Liverpool, when it happens to Koch. It bounced off loads of things, and then it bounced knee, arm, face. It's
that was so harsh. Yeah.
Certainly, give the guy a break.
Nah, it's good.
It's his debut, goddammit.
Ellis likes that call.
That's another point. Everyone likes it when it happens to them, unless you're Roy Hodgson. But
I don't know if they exist.
I don't. I think it's you can't enjoy the goal when you got it from ill gains like that.
I definitely could. West Ham.
Well, you're desperate, I suppose.
Yeah, I know. We'll take it how it comes.
I think the main issue is, and anyone who's played any level of football knows this, is that you use your arms. Firstly, if you're running, obviously you use them to build momentum. You don't run with your arms no one runs with their arms in their pockets, their hands in their pockets. You have to move them to get across. Ellis said last week, actually, or maybe the week before, that when you jump, you obviously use your arms to give you the advantage to get more height. Use them for balance. They are a part of the game. They are a part of moving. If you're running across the block and you're about to cross in the ball, I run across the box to block it. Of course, my arm's going to be out because I'm running with that momentum, and it may hit my arm or my hand or whatever. Do you know? It's absolute rubbish.
It's really never by your side the whole time.
How can it be?
It's always going to be slightly out, and especially if you slow it down to the speeds that they're looking at it now with the VAR and everything else, everything looks bad when it's in
Of course it does. Yeah.
The slowest motion. Like everything looks guilty when you have like 10 million frames per second of what stupid shit they use. Like, but as soon as you play it in real time, you're like, oh yeah, no choice there. What can you do?
That's why I think the Crystal Palace, the Ward one, was potentially the worst one of the lot, was because I think he was making a specific effort to keep his arms down and by his side. I think that's why his arms were sort of how they were, to like intentionally try and avoid this stupid handball decision. But even then, it sort of came off one of his arms and it was given as a penalty. But he was intentionally trying to keep his arms out of the way. Like honestly, apart from cutting his arms off, what else was he meant to do? And still it gets given. That was mental.
And the thing that annoys me as well is I gave it for Joel Ward, but you see Dominic Calvert-Lewin do it as well, where his arms go towards the ball as well, and that wasn't given. He's like, if you're going to give it for Ward, give it for that as well.
Yes, you would like to see consistency. If it was all those bad decisions, you want to at least see it for every decision rather than one here, one there. So,
yeah, it certainly needs to be. I think it needs a change. As I said, obviously we said about Roy Hodgson. You mentioned there, Brett, about Gary Lineker and Alan Shearer and all these managers and everybody. No one thinks it's a good rule. So hopefully we see a change in this. Whether it will happen now, I think these things tend to happen sort of midway or end of season, don't they? Because there needs to be about 85,000 meetings for it first and all this crap. So hopefully we do see it, because at the moment it is another thing added to the game. I feel kind of like VAR, where it's very stoppy. Everything's stopping. We've got to look at absolutely everything, and there's no flow sometimes to the game, is there? It's stop start, and it's not good for the product. It may add a bit of drama, but as you say, we don't give a fuck about that. We just want to see good football.
I think they have improved with stopping the game, though, because now with the VAR decisions, they're checking it while it's in play, so they don't actually stop the game. Whereas last year, I think that was the point. Everyone hated it because they were just stopping it like every 2 seconds. I mean, you had to wait.
Aspects of VAR, I think, have improved, like the way they're using the monitor and that, which that's true. Literally everyone said they should have done from day one. Like all of last season, we were saying that, and now, thankfully, they are actually using it, and that makes sense because at least it's the guy on the pitch that makes the call in those scenarios. But yeah, for some reason, the new thing this year is every weekend we're going to talk about handball calls when it was in the first place. It's really
they fixed one thing but made a bigger problem. So
yeah.
I think everyone's under the agreement that VAR has improved. But then the refereeing stand in this country is terrible as well.
Is it, or is it the rules though? I mean,
it's probably a bit of both.
If they're following the law and that's the law, that's their job to implement the law, isn't it? Even if it is
someone already said it's harsh. They're getting all the stick when if they didn't give these handball decisions, then whoever the powers are above them would accuse them of not, putting the law into practice properly, which is what their job is. So it's the rule that needs to change.
And if they've got to actually look and be like, to deem if it is deliberate or not, no one's going to know if it's deliberate, really, unless you're the person of it. It's like kind of like what Joel Ward did, because given a handball, no one's going to know if maybe he did put his arm up a little bit. No one's going to know that but the player. Whereas the ref has just got to make that decision there and then. Like, I could say it's a handball. Ellis, you might say like it wasn't. So
that's definitely
his point of view. So
that's 100%. That's difficult. I think what they used to say was something along the lines of if there is movement of the hand or the arm towards the ball. So it's flying past the player and he just sticks his arm out clearly to block the ball because he's moved it towards the ball on purpose. But I definitely get that there will be times that that's subjective and there'll be disagreements. But then in which case, let the ref go and see the monitor. He can watch it 100 times if he wants and let him make the call. And that's his job. But at least then there'll be some aspect of did the player actually mean to do it? Because if not, it's a pretty harsh way of conceding a penalty.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, is it clear and obvious? That's what like the same sort of argument with offside. You know, we've spoken about this before, like, you know, when they're sort of getting their tape measures out, all the laser technology, 0.001 millimeters offside with his toe or his, you know, his nose hairs over the line or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, it comes down to the fundamentals of why the rules are in the first place. And it's to stop clear and obvious errors and to normally give the player the benefit of the doubt, which it seems all these new rules that are coming in, it's not giving them any room at all to sort of maneuver. Like, they've just been told, yep, that must be that. It's grey and white when there is so much grey area to football. It's more complex than that, and I just don't think the rules are, you know, accurately representing that.
You can tell something must be a bit off with this rule, because how many penalties have there been in these first 3 game weeks?
21 penalties.
Bloody hell. There's been a lot of goals.
You don't want a game to be relied on a penalty every single game, do you? You don't want that. I mean, if it's clear and obvious, yeah, like the Man City ones that stay with the Leicester. But if it's like the handball ones where it's not intentional, you don't want a game to be decided on that.
Yeah, even you know, my feelings, you know, for Tottenham generally, to see, you know, to watch how they conceded that goal it's not enjoyable. It's stupid. Yeah. I don't think anyone can enjoy that, because you know that could happen to your team, you know. And his one, yeah, that was absolutely shocking. But all right, guys, well, I'm going to say we're moving on from this subject. We're actually going to cover the 3 games which sort of
have a lot on that subject.
Felt the pain from this subject. So let's start then. So the first game we're going to go into is Crystal Palace 1, Everton 2. So obviously we had goals from QRA, Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. Ben, how do you feel about this one?
I thought first half we weren't really at it. I mean, their first goal was very inexperienced from Tyreek Mitchell. He's let Coleman get in the inside of him from a good pass from Rodriguez. And for me, I think Waiter should be doing better with that finish from Lewin, because he's kind of not got his hands up quick enough to save it. I don't know if that's me being harsh on him or not, but I think he should have kind of been saving it. But other than that, I think Everton quite controlled the first half, but I thought second half we came alive, and I thought we were the better team than the second half. But it's a shame we don't really have that clinical striker up top. I mean, I was impressed with Eze, because everything that we kind of done well was through him, and it's a shame that Hodgson took our best player off, and when he came off, we kind of lost our momentum and our mojo. So it's just a bit of a shame.
Lost my mojo.
Yeah.
I see that complaint a lot from Palace fans about Hodgson's subs. They're like, he never really does.
He left it too late, the subs, again, like the 70th minute. We're losing 2-1. You want to be a bit more gun-ho, go for it. But bringing Benteke on as well isn't a really great moment to get back in the game.
He's not a match winner, is he?
Always inexcusable putting that dog shit man on.
Yeah, there's never a time to bring him on, unless you're purposely trying to lose the game. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
Everton, obviously, I think they were, you know, so far they've been very consistent with the first 3 games.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think they're second in the table now. And obviously, you said that Palace, you know, controlled a few spells of the game, but I think Everton always looked comfortable.
Yeah, I think they looked comfortable, but we did give them a game, though. And obviously, it was a game decided by penalties, wasn't it, at the end?
It was. I feel like, obviously, you don't want it in that sort of scenario, because I don't think it was a penalty. I think it was harsh, obviously. But I do think Everton deserved that scoreline. So for me, it's not as bad. I felt they did control most of the game, because I think that engine room they've created at the moment of Alan, Decore, they are exceptional. You know, they sort of limited everything that you were doing. Any sort of counter-attack, which is obviously your strong point, and obviously you utilised that so well against Manchester United last week. This week, you can tell the difference with midfield, because every single time one of them went forwards, the other one was always there, just waiting to see what was going to come out. And, you know, the likes of Zaha, and I didn't get much joy from the game because of how.
Yeah, that's the first time in 4 years he's failed to dribble past an opponent as well. So you can't see many teams getting the better of Decore or Allen.
No, they work so well in that pivot together, and they complement each other so well. Yeah, like I say, they've started really well. Richarlison played really well. Coleman, I thought, was decent down the right hand side.
Yeah, I thought he had a good game.
Calvert-Lewin scored again. He's on fire.
Yeah, can't stop him.
Yeah, so Calvert-Lewin, I guess we should mention him. A lot of the English goal scorers doing okay at the moment, aren't they? But Calvert-Lewin especially is top goal scorer in the league at the moment. Is he after Vardy still?
Joyce got 5 goals.
Yeah, 5 goals in it, yeah.
Yeah, so he's been...
Not bad.
He's been an absolute revelation. And we did see that last season, didn't we? He had that purple patch. But obviously to come, start the season scoring goals is great for him, and they look like he is their striker now. They don't have to look for an alternative.
I think it helps if you have good service. So if you've got Rodriguez supplying you, Richarlison, you've got them supplying you. It's obviously going to be helpful and putting a platter for you, essentially.
Definitely. I think I heard Calvert-Lewin saying about the difference Ancelotti has made to him. Apparently, he came in and just said to him, "Stay between the 2 posts and just practice on your first touch finishing." And just do that again and again and again. And if you see his hat-trick last week, there were basically 2 tap-ins and 1 slightly fluky header, I suppose. That goal that he got against Palace this weekend as well, it was just sort of getting on the end of a good cross, like right in front of the goal. It's just, it seems simple, doesn't it? But just putting yourself in that position, the amount of strikers that struggle to get goals, and you just think, stay within the width of the goal, make sure you're, there or thereabouts every cross that comes in. And just make sure that your first touch finishing is on point, and if you're a good player, you'll score goals that way. It reminds me
you want that from a striker, though, don't you? You just want them to be inside the box and just finish it. You don't want them outside the box doing all the hard work. You just want them in the box to do it. It's just lash it onto it.
He's an experienced.
That really well.
Yeah, he's an experienced manager. Obviously, he's worked with some fantastic players, and that it may seem like such obvious advice, but I think sometimes you are asked to do a lot more as a player, and maybe he's just he simplified it. I remember even hearing Alan Shearer speaking about going through a goal drought, and pretty much exactly what you just said is what Bobby Robson told him to do. And he said after he told me that, suddenly I couldn't stop scoring. You think Alan Shearer, even he needed a bit of advice like that. It really is these little things sometimes, but. Obviously, congratulations to Everton on that fantastic result. So let's move on then to Tottenham Hotspur 1, Newcastle 1. What do we think about this?
Bit of a drab game, really, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, considering the sort of excitement that Spurs brought last weekend. Although, like we said last episode, maybe that was more a result of crap defending because, they just didn't have a ton about them going forward, really.
No.
I mean, Son hit the post so many times today.
Well, I was going to say that. Yeah, Son had a very bright game, didn't he? But unfortunately, he had a bit of a
hit the
brightness
post
about
and
him.
the bar, didn't he? I think.
And he came off at half-time as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Darlow played quite well, the goalkeeper.
Yeah,
he had a lot of good saves, to be fair. I think the first half Spurs were quite rampant and dominant.
They could have been winning like 7-0. For sure.
Yeah, good saves. Hit the woodwork.
Yeah, but they didn't.
And then obviously
the Newcastle poor though. They were poor. Like I saw a stat, they had 2 shots on target against West Ham, scored them both. Had no shots on goal against Brighton. They had no good shots on goal against Tottenham, but then they scored a penalty. So they've not created anything.
No, they were lucky to get a result.
Yeah,
and even the free kick, like Jolinton jumped into Højbjerg. I don't know how that was a free kick for them when they got awarded the penalty as well. Even that was a bit of a joke.
Yeah. We had goals obviously from Lucas Moura with a really nice assist, didn't we, from Kane. I mean, could have been defended better, of course, but the way it went across the box for that finish, Kane is pulling out the assist this year, isn't he? I mean, he might end up with that record.
Man, his passing is exceptional. There was a pass in that first half where he put Son in as well, and he just sort of spins, and he doesn't even need to look. But again, that reminded me of that Saints game because Son is so fast. Kane just knows if he can get it up and over the defensive line, then Son will get on the end of it. But his passing is brilliant.
Now we all know why he was put onto corners. So
yeah, sorry, Roy.
Got the whip. You were right, man.
I can imagine Hodgson's just screaming at the TV. I told you.
He's screaming about the handball rule at the moment. He can only scream at one thing at a time. So obviously, just to wrap up this game, Callum Wilson. We know the penalty was just stupid, but you've got to finish it. You haven't had many chances in the game. You're playing Tottenham, and good finish I think by Callum Wilson.
Just about scored it. To be fair, I think the Reece basically got a touch to it. I think he just got through him. So
it's good for him to get another goal, isn't it?
Saved it.
Yeah, good for him to get another goal.
All he could do is stick it in the net. I think the first match he played, I can't remember who their first match was now at Newcastle, but we're all saying, yeah, shit, what a signing, he looked good, because he scored and so did Hendrick and everything, and we were singing their praises. But like Ben said, against West Ham they were poor, and then today
very poor. Yeah.
Very lucky to get a point.
Okay then, guys. Let's move on then to the last game. We've got a few minutes before the break. So let's move on to West Brom 3, Chelsea 3.
I have a quick question about this. Why was Christensen playing when he got sent off against Liverpool last week?
He only got one match ban. It's only 3 matches if it's violent contact, so I think his one match was against Barnsley.
With the cup. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
moving on.
Yeah, cheers, that mate.
Did you just think the whole of the country and the whole of the Premier League just?
I was like, he sneaks on. He sneaks on the pitch. But what about Thiago Silva, eh? Lol.
Yeah. So I've only got a couple of minutes to cover this game, which is probably a good thing because I will go in. But West Brom, I mean, 3-0. And you knew it was going to happen, didn't you? You knew it was going to happen. I remember we spoke in the group, didn't we? And they scored 1. I think it was Ben. You said they can't come back. And I think I said, well, they can. Because West Brom.
Jinxed it.
West Brom, just fell apart.
It was a tale of 2 halves, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I want to give credit to Lampard because obviously the difference was made at half time.
behave.
And he managed to motivate.
No.
But at the same
West Brom
time,
played so negative.
Because at the same time, obviously, it's basically his fault that they were 3-0 down in the first place. So, I feel weird about giving that praise, but I don't know. West Brom, it looks like they can score goals and can't defend, and Chelsea are pretty similar to that. So it was a good game, really, in that sense.
Lampard deserves no praise. He,
we agree.
Put on three strikers, took off some defenders. West Brom went defensive from 3-0 up, just stepped back and let Chelsea go at them. And with the amount of talent Chelsea have, of course they're going to get the goals. It should have played how they were playing the first half.
We've said this before. You can spend as much money as you want attacking wise, but if your defence isn't up to scratch, then you're going to struggle.
It was the defence as well. That was the problem. It was 3 individual errors at the back. The first 2 games, obviously, ripping into Kepa because it was obviously his individual mistake. Obviously, he wasn't playing today. He was on the bench with a Caballero and goal. And it was the actual defenders themselves that made those individual errors. So, responsibility, it lies on their doorstep at the moment, and they've got to be held accountable for once. And
I tell you what, Aspilicueta came on at half time, and he looked like their best defender. And I'm sure I said about a month ago that he's their best defender.
Yeah.
Really weird that he's on the pitch. He looks like a real leader when he comes on.
It's an odd one, isn't it? Marcus Alonso is absolutely shit. I mean, when he played
that
on
first goal, when you never ever head across your goal. Never. That's like one of the fundamentals of defending. You're taught from a young kid.
Yeah.
Never pass across goal. And he heads it straight to Pereira. Pereira's obviously been amazing so far from West Brom. He finds Robinson. And he's afforded way too much time, I thought that sort of chance was going to fizzle out, and he had enough time to sort of take a touch, look up, and then rifle it across goal. And it's just like, it's way too easy for that level, or for the level they're aspiring to be at least.
Yeah. He had issues with his left wing back, didn't he? If he's not attacking his shit, he can't be part of a back 4.
Yeah, because they were playing like they had a back 5. Reece James and Alonso were so far up and just left Silva and Christensen at the back. Like, it was not working at all.
No.
Lampard can't defend, so.
Can work if you get that system right. Obviously, Liverpool go quite high, but you need to arrange your team. And obviously, just to finish off this chat before we go to the break, obviously, it was the homegrown players who really made the difference, not the massive signings. So,
exactly,
hopefully.
Mount and Abraham.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mount's goal was sick as well. Probably
keeper just...
you can't say that.
It was a good goal,
mate.
But the keeper just did not try.
It was rooted.
You couldn't.
That's how good the shot was.
Yeah, you couldn't.
He was stunned
late, and it went so quick. All right, guys, we're gonna have to end the first half there. Let's come back in a moment and do the rest of the games. See you in a moment.
All right, boss.
To keep up to date with the show and contact us, you can follow us on Instagram at Favourite Football Channel, on Twitter at FF Channel Pod, on Facebook at Favourite Football Channel, or email us on favouritefootballchannel@gmail.com. And for your chance to get a shout out on the show, make sure to leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening, and get in touch with your questions, which we will answer at the end of each show. Welcome back to part 2. So the first game we are going to cover here was maybe the most exciting game of the weekend. Maybe the biggest shock. It was Manchester City 2, Leicester 5.
More like Manchester Shitty, am I right?
You're hilarious.
I know.
Let's discuss. Do you think it was that, or do you think Leicester played well, or was it, as we usually come to the agreement, a combination of both?
Yeah, it was a combination, wasn't it? Leicester are just really, really clinical. I like their sort of game plan. It all came off. And I think if you're gifted, because, all we're going to talk about this weekend is penalties that were debatable, whereas Leicester were handed 3 today that were basically all pretty clear, I'd say. I don't think any of them were debatable, were they?
No,
not at all.
If you're handed 3 penalties, then, you're going to cruise to victory. And so certainly that aspect is the fault of Manchester City and their dodge defence.
I mean, Vardy was so clever getting those 2 penalties. Just those runs he's made to get onto the ball. Beautiful. Showing what is pure class.
Striker run, isn't it? They always say, just make sure you get in front, like the wrong side of the defender. Then all you got to do is wait for any sort of silly contact. And, they fell for every single time. And Manchester City's defence day was, there's question marks over pretty much most of them there, I think.
Okay, well...
So their back forward today was who? It was Garcia.
Mendy, Ake, Garcia, and Walker.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I wonder how much all 4 of them cost if you add it up. I don't know, but it's going to be silly money.
About 200 million, I think.
Well, Garcia came for their academy.
Okay, so it was only those 3.
So 150.
Yeah.
Why was he wearing the Czech hat?
He got concussed one of his last matches out. He had to take a little break. I guess it was to do with that.
Pussy.
Not just for fashion, then.
Killick, you said in our group today that City had the most clean sheets of anyone last year. Is that right?
I did. The reason I said that was because Man City, they do have this thing over their head where their defence is absolutely crap. So I was making the sort of the counterpoint, play devil's advocate, that, I mean, they did have the most clean sheets last season, but...
Yeah, that really surprised me. That was a good stat because, like you said, no one would associate them with that.
No, it does seem, though, when it goes wrong, it goes so wrong.
Yeah.
And that, but if we look at this game... Mahrez obviously scored a goal very quickly, and it was a fantastic goal on his weak foot. I mean, he hit it so well, didn't he?
Not bad, is it?
You'd never,
weak foot.
Ever
that was
say
a thunder bastard of a shot.
Yeah, it was an absolute rocket. So what a finish by him, obviously against his old club. Then, it was a weird game. Vardy said afterwards that they wanted to sort of put pressure on the midfield, like Rodrigo, so they didn't have time to play with the ball. And it did feel like that a bit, didn't it? Did you guys notice that City seems to be putting a lot of balls into the box, which seems very anti-City-esque?
Yeah, I feel like they kept De Bruyne very quiet.
Yeah.
He couldn't he couldn't boss the midfield. It was it Daniel Partey, Mendy, and Tielemans. I'm guessing maybe Pratt if he was around.
Yeah, Pratt was playing well.
It just kept him quiet. I think De Bruyne, they kept saying in the game that he could only make one run on the right to get in the box and cross it in, but a defender was always there to block the attempted cross. So whatever the game plan from Rodgers was, I think it executed it very well.
Well, this is it, because obviously from the beginning they started in I think it was like a 5-4-1 formation, and it was quite negative, I guess you could say, from Rodgers, but you say it completely nullified what De Bruyne was doing, and obviously the only time he really had much of an impact was from the set pieces, which obviously we saw a lot in the first half. But once they sort of figured that out, the second half they came out in a 4-4-2, and they were a lot more brave and a lot more direct with Man City. And
Barnes' runs,
not like it. Yeah, they completely changed their approach.
Yeah, like a knife through butter. That was he was doing fantastic. But your point there, Killick, about that they were putting a lot of balls in Man City. Like they don't normally do. Normally they do like tiki-taka football, don't they? But that play style obviously worked well for them later on in the game, because they actually had a more like a 6'5" striker on in the youngster Delap. But before that, they were trying to get balls to Sterling. So,
there was no recognised striker, was there, from the beginning? Obviously, I had Sterling as a false 9, and Foden and Mahrez on either side. So, I think that, obviously, as much as we sort of been focusing on how City haven't been the best defensively, I think without Aguero and without Gabriel Jesus, they're going to struggle to even get the goals because I've never really been convinced with Sterling as a false nine anyway. I think you'll get away with it with teams that are a bit more lower quality, but against the Leicester side that have started so well, I think, especially the way that they set up as well, they basically knew, I think we've got these pretty quiet when they did keep them quiet, and then they came out second half, were a bit more adventurous, and like I said, they basically cut through Man City most of the second half, so it was obviously very effective in the end.
Great to watch.
Yeah, definitely. They really flipped that switch, didn't they, Leicester, in the second half, and we did see. I mean, if we look at the individual mistakes, obviously for the first penalty before half-time, that was the Walker one, am I correct? Yeah, and that was just stupid. He's super experienced. Obviously, he's actually been very good for Manchester City over his career there, but stupid, absolutely stupid. And then we look at the penalties later on as well. Just such stupid mistakes. What are you trying to do?
It's like they don't know when to just admit that the man's got away from them. Like, especially the last one, was it Maddison went around Mendy, I think.
Yeah.
And Maddison, he just got away. He just did him and he was away. And as a defender, sometimes you have to just admit defeat and say, okay, that bloke's got around me. What can I do instead? Can I can I close him down? But it's like Mendy just couldn't help himself. He just refused to admit that Maddison had got away.
He had to nibble at it. He just had to.
Yeah, exactly. Gave him a little nibble,
touch him.
And then Maddison did what any good player does at the moment, which is just slow down a little bit or just leave your leg out a little bit, because as soon as you feel some contact, you go down and it gets given. But yeah, I think one of the commentators I was listening to said, they've got too much pride or something, because there does come a time where you just have to admit that you've been beaten and the man's gone around you and you have to let him go, because otherwise the alternative is a penalty every single time. And 3 in a match is a joke.
Yeah, that's atrocious. You know what I mean? You can't be giving, especially against a team like Leicester, like you say. You've got to be doing better because they're too dangerous. You can't. You've got to afford them the respect they deserve. And I felt like the defence didn't want to give them that respect, like you say. I think it's more of a psychological thing for the defence. Like you said, how dare this person get past me? I can't let that happen. Rather than, like you say, okay, that's happened. Hopefully the people in the middle have more trust in them that they're going to make up for that, because it didn't happen loads, especially inside the box. So there's no need to be that rash. It's hard to pinpoint, what exactly would trigger a response like that, but could just be a brain fart.
Scared of getting screamed at by Pep if they get beaten. I don't know. Sometimes I swear Pep just puts fear into players.
Yeah. But imagine the dressing room afterwards anyway.
Exactly,
they'll be fucking beat the shit out of.
Slaps him every time everyone comes in. But there's no consistency in the back four, Man City. Like every game week, they've got a different back four.
Yeah,
so it's hard. It's hard to actually start playing well together when you got someone new every week.
It's weird, isn't it? Pep, I don't know. He's a bit of a tinkerer. That's not
Tinkerman, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure we'd all agree that the goalie's the goalie, and then it's Walker, Laporte, Ake. Maybe the left back, there's a conversation, but I'd probably say Mendy is who you go with.
Mendy, if he's fit, yeah.
Yeah. So, that's, we're football fans. None of us are Man City fans, but I think most football fans would say there's your back five for Man City. But I wonder how often that back five is actually put out.
Well, they've had injuries, haven't they, with Mendy? But, I mean, the games Mendy has played, yes, he has been good going forward at times. But defensively, I mean, I can think of a couple of times he's been completely caught out.
He's rash.
Obviously,
he's very rash
today. And let's compare as well. Obviously, credit where credit's due on the side of Leicester. If you look at Justin and Castagna, obviously, Justin is a guy who's played under 20 games for Leicester. He was bought from Luton, obviously, when they in League One. And, he was cutting out passes. He had, fantastic clean tackles. Completely the opposite. And, I mean, how much was he? Nothing really. Do you know what I mean? And you do wonder, how is he doing that? And then someone like Mendy, obviously, who's this, well-renowned defender, or even Walker, or everyone else who fucked up in that game, doing completely the opposite. And, what does it come down to?
It's mad, isn't it? I think you've got to look at recruitment, obviously. But, Leicester seem to be the kings of recruitment, and Man City are very rarely getting it right anymore. But some of the if your recruitment's right, some of the fines, obviously I'm a Liverpool fan, but look how much was Robertson? He was like 8 mil or something, and it was that or less for Gomez as well, who
I had to bring it back to Liverpool, didn't you?
My point is recruitment, because the amount that Man City has spent on defenders is obscene, and Justin played better than any Man City defender today and cost probably about $2 million or something stupid. Like, it is mad how you just got to find these little unearthed gems as opposed to just splashing 50 mil every single summer.
But I guess it's kind of, when you do a big spend, it's for a lot of high expectations compared to like Justin. He has no expectation at all. So when he does something good, it's best thing in the world. So, but what
I find interesting is we're all very quick to criticise managers, aren't we? We criticise Ollie, we criticise Frank Lampard, we criticise a lot of managers. However, we don't really seem to criticise Pep.
I do.
Yeah, I think the Lyon game for sure.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, Ben. I do. Yeah, I know what you mean. Everyone's
his job is certainly never in question, and no one is ever like, "Oh shit," that's the end of Pep.
No, he runs that club, but his defensive signings, as we say, it's not been great. And obviously, when he was at Barcelona, he had that defence there, didn't he? Bayern Munich, obviously, they had their defence. I mean, maybe it's just not his strong point. He's never got it right. We said before with Angelino, obviously looked fantastic somewhere else, didn't work. He bought Cancelo, who, to be honest, seems like the biggest waste of money, because clearly you've got a fantastic player there who, has either played on the wrong side or not used, or fuck knows. What a waste of money that was. Before that, they had, who is it they let go for him? Denilson?
Danilo.
Oh, Danilo, sorry. And he's, he was pretty shit. There's a lot of problems there. There is a lot of problems there.
I wonder if Pep even has the final say with recruitment. It seems to vary from club to club who actually decides who gets bought.
I think he's very heavily involved.
Is Pep actually good at building a club? He obviously has the best players. So when he was at Bayern, Barca, Man City, came into good players at Man City. He just his way of playing is good, but is he good at recruiting players?
I don't know.
Is he good at rebuilding once you've had a bit of success? It's so hard, and he's never had to really do that. He's never really stayed at a club long enough to have to really do that. It's like rebuild after that, especially when you're catching a team like Liverpool. I'm not sure if he's capable. I'm not sure.
Do you think they're lacking a leader at Man City, though?
Say again, Ben, sorry.
So do you think they're lacking a leader at Man City? Because obviously you had a few leaders at Man City. You had Kompany, who was a leader, who's never really been replaced there. David Silva was a leader there. He was there for many years. Yaya Toure was a leader there. So they don't really seem to have many leaders there.
I think when Kompany left, that's when
the back four
big problems
suffered with that since. Obviously, they got Laporte, who's obviously, I think he's class. I don't know why he's not starting. Has he been injured in that?
Corona. Corona.
So yeah, obviously he'll start. He's obviously their best centre back. So when he's going to be starting, they'll probably look a bit better. They're still looking for another centre back. I think I've just heard Koulibaly's now going to stay at Napoli.
Yeah, Ruben Diaz is on his way.
Yes, Ruben Diaz looks like he's going to be the likely option, but he's still quite young. Not necessarily the leadership sort of quality that we're talking of, obviously, because he's young. He hasn't got that experience. I don't know if that's necessarily what they need.
He's going to be another 40 million signing. That's shit. Like, it just sounds like he's going to be another one on that list, and I very easily could be wrong, and we'll
50 million plus Otamendi.
Fuck's sake. I mean, unless he's going to walk in and completely transform that back four, which I can't really see happening, is anyone worth 50 mil plus? Otamendi by himself, he'd probably get 15 mil or something. I don't know.
They need to
seems like another defensive signing that won't work.
Yeah, they need to get the blend right. They definitely need to get the blend right there, and that's something they just haven't got. It's not always about having the best players. I mean, we've seen. Look at the year Leicester won the title. Look at that back four. Danny fucking Simpson, who, I think he was out of a club at some point. Do you know what I mean? And obviously the other players in that defence. It's not always about having the best names and a defender who's done well. It's about, thinking, what do you need next to him? Who do you need next to him? Like, who will benefit who?
How do they complement each other? How are they coached? Like the style of play, everything. Yeah, definitely. Was it their main centre-back pairing was Morgan and Huth?
Yeah, for that season. And it worked. They got it right. And I mean, as we say, they have had the most clean sheets, but you do see these little errors which you do not expect from a team who are going to finish, let's be honest, they're still going to finish top two. It's still going to happen even though they've lost this game.
I think today will be damaging, man. If you look at the last couple of seasons when it's been these big epic Liverpool Man City battles, I don't think Liverpool or Man City in either of those seasons conceded 5 at home at any point. That's crazy.
It's the first Pep Guardiola team to concede 5 ever.
Right. I mean, right now, we'll see what happens tomorrow night. Let's say Arsenal win convincingly tomorrow. I don't think it'd be crazy to say that the title race is going to be between Liverpool and Arsenal, and City will finish third. 5 at home is crazy.
Oh, it's too early though, man. It's too early. Even saying something like that makes me
it is. Yeah, it's very early. But if it was like last season, you can't afford to drop any points, let alone in a game where you concede 5. But okay, guys, let's move on from that. Otherwise, we'll run out of time. Let's move on then to another interesting game, which was Brighton 2, Manchester United 3. Now, Ben,
biggest drama I've ever seen ever.
It was dramatic, wasn't it? But if we look at the game as a whole, I mean, Manchester United were absolutely crap.
Yeah, they really were.
Brighton were really good.
Yeah, and Brighton were good, of course. Yeah, so it's tough to know what to say about this game because you don't want to go Man United bashing, and obviously they got the 3 points, which is good, but they got so outplayed by a team who are, Lallana was one of the best players on the pitch, and you've got 60 million, 90 million, God knows how much in the middle. How is this happening, do you think?
It was a strange one, really. I felt like we gave them, throughout the whole game, way too much space and way too much time to do whatever they wanted. You saw that several times. I think they hit the woodwork, 5 times.
Yeah.
I think that was a record. Yeah, that was like a record, I think, for the most times hit the woodwork in the game. And so many of those, I think, especially Trossard on the outside of the box and that. You saw it so often. He would get the ball and no one was pressuring or going towards him. He had the time to sort of, take a touch, look up, take the ball out of his feet, and then unleash a shot. If I was De Gea, I'd be absolutely fuming at my defensive line because no one was shutting down his shots, and it just didn't change throughout the whole game. Even when our attacking players, bless them, were trying to, make a game out of it, and I must admit, our attacking players did do very well considering they were working with scraps, likes of Rashford and Bruno Fernandes were probably the only sort of tiny shining lights out of the game because we didn't deserve to win, not at all. I think it should have been Brighton should have won. Really, the only difference is they weren't clinical enough to take the chances.
Did you hear what Bruno Fernandes said after the game when they were talking about I think maybe Trossard and March hitting the post?
No, I didn't hear what he said.
Fernandes used some sassy comments like, "Well, don't hit the post then."
It's true.
I've become a pundit. Jesus.
Yeah. As much as it's a sassy comment, it's like, well, the difference between the two sides is we took our chances. You did.
I felt like Rashford. He got better later in the game because the boy didn't know the bloody offside rule for ages.
Oh, he kept going offside. Yeah. Oh.
His goal was lovely.
Yeah, great goal.
He mugged Ben White off, maybe a bit of experience there. He just thought, stand up to him, don't be dropping on the floor twice. That's a bit.
Sent him for a hot dog, didn't he?
Exactly.
I thought the Man United's right hand side defensively and Brighton's left hand side attacking wise, man, I worded that badly. Basically, Josh March versus Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka was getting rinsed repeatedly.
He was
his positioning was terrible.
Yeah. Weird, isn't it? The amount
of times Josh March crossed and shot from that kind of left channel, even the left hand side of the penalty box, and he had so much space all the way up until Brighton's second, right in the very dying moments of the game with Josh March's header.
It's Solly March.
Yeah.
Solly.
Is it Solly? I was just calling him Josh March.
Yeah. You're an idiot. It's Solly March.
Where the hell was Wan-Bissaka for that header? It was crazy, man.
And that happened 2 or 3 times. The exact same situation where the ball came over and it was either March or Trossard, whoever was there, or Codley sometimes. And every single time it was Wan-Bissaka. It was caught out of position. And it's unlike him because he's normally very sound with that sort of thing. I don't know if maybe he needed a bit of help from maybe a right winger or something. Obviously, I know Greenwood was playing there and that's not really his thing. But he did seem like he had no idea where he was meant to be. And again, that's where you sort of want a leader in defence to sort of step up, sort of organise who's marking who. But the last couple of games, we haven't had that organisation at the back. And it is worrying because we've just about got away with it against Brighton, and they played very well, and I think they should feel hard done by with the result. I felt at the very least the draw. So the fact we got a win, I can't even go around saying I'm happy about it because it just disguises the fact that we were shit and we're lucky, to be honest.
Yeah.
But Brighton, I think they can take a lot of optimistic things away from the game. Tactically, they were perfect. They outfought us. All they had to do was just take the chances.
At least the handball that was given right at the end was actually a handball. At least you don't have to argue about that.
We can't argue that.
We could all agree on that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And even though it was after the final whistle, and that is the rules.
But it happened before the final whistle, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you can bring it back and then take that penalty. It's strange because we've never seen it before.
Yeah, it's so dramatic. But it got an equaliser from Brighton from Josh March, is it? No, Solly March.
you know what? I just googled Josh March, and actually he's a footballer. He plays for Forest Green Rovers, so clearly I'm just a massive Forest Green Rovers fan.
Yeah, massive fan.
True
Big
football
club,
fan.
big club. Big dreams, big club. And just like, and then to get that call for a penalty, it was the most fun 10 minutes of my life.
Yeah, it was dramatic. I think it was 10 minutes into injury time when that happened. So I think that's the latest goal in the Premiership we've had since 2001, I think it is.
Madness.
The amount of time they were doing the bloody VR check, it was like the 97th minute it happened.
No, 2011, that was it, sorry. That's the last time it was a goal that late. So it's been nearly a decade since we've had such action. Such drama.
I loved it though, because like when you were watching the score on the TV, it was like it went to full time, but that came back onto like the injury time. But for some reason the scoreboard kind of messed up, and it was 2-1 to Man U. But it quickly went to 2-2. Yeah, I was like, what is happening? And then it went to 3-2. It was like even it's either BT or Sky Sports, whoever had it, they couldn't keep up with the game.
I thought something else. Just to sort of wrap up the game, I guess I thought something else interesting that I read today was that penalty, if he would have missed it, if it had been saved, they couldn't. That was the last kick of the game. There could not have been a rebound. But obviously, because of the mayhem, I don't think anyone really knew. So I'd have loved it if he would have saved it, come out for a rebound, someone put it in, and then he had to explain, look, I know you've just scored, but that's actually not a goal. Because that kick was the last kick of the game. Could you imagine the riot on the pitch after? It would have been absolute insanity, wouldn't it? But
the confusion already.
I don't think it had any more drama.
It's such a roller coaster.
I think the referee would have just been
but
like,
fuck this. Anyway, though, he scored in the 95th minute, Solly March, and then that should have been game over.
Yeah, it did seem to go on after that, didn't it? I mean, that didn't even make sense in itself.
Added injury time for the amount of time wasted with like the celebration or that kind of crap. So
I don't know. All right, guys, let's move on then to the next game. Is a game actually we just watched. It was West Ham 4, Wolves 0.
Oh yeah, easy win for the boys. What?
So yeah, I mean the last 4 times they've faced each other, Wolves have won actually all of their games.
Yeah,
so
a lot. Yeah.
What a turnaround for West Ham without David Moyes. Obviously, he's at home watching on the old TV.
Maybe that's the key.
Say that's the secret. Yeah.
Stay at home, Moyes, would you?
Yeah.
But it was working from home. It was hilarious. Like Stuart Pearce was like on the phone to him, on the stands, talking to him before every decision. But
it's a really budget-looking phone as well, wasn't it? It was like one of those old school, wired phones.
That's where you get the best signal. We know that, the old Nokias.
But, it's what GSB like to spend in the club. That's the phones we have.
That's West Ham all over, isn't it?
Exactly. But yeah, it was a very good game. It was good to see Bowen actually scoring today, because last time he scored was against Southampton back in January. Like, it always looks like he should be scoring every game, but
yeah, that shocks me. I thought he definitely scored within that time, but
it's been a long time, and got 2 tonight, which was great. I think we matched the formation that Wolves did, and I think we outplayed them. Clear from the scoreline. I think maybe a bit tired, but West Ham
they looked
took
kind
advantage.
of shot, didn't they? They didn't look very kind of threatening or anything.
Oh, the Wolves we know, yeah.
Yeah.
But hats off to Arthur Masuaku, who just basically came back into the squad for the last
he's been
2
fantastic.
Games. Yeah, he kept Traore so quiet, which is a hard thing to do.
It's his delivery, though. That's what I'm like. I didn't know he had it in him,
He was
in the last 2 games, he's whipping in these crosses from the left. And I'm like, where's this guy been all this time? Like, he's got a massively great foot on him.
He's a converted left winger to a left back. And I don't know why we haven't played him left wing. Well, we're obviously playing him in the back 5, so he has more room to go up. And he doesn't have to have all the defensive role,
responsibility in it,
and it just it suits him very well. Like the way he dribbles as well, he can go through players like a knife through butter.
And you got Fredericks the other side. It probably suits him as well, doesn't it? Being on a wing back position rather. And obviously, we said about Alonso, being in a 4 or in a 5, it's completely different, night and day. So yeah, obviously suits them players if you've not got the most confident sort of defensive players there. So
it suits the likes of Antonio and Susek as well. because he's delivering such tasty little balls to them. And obviously we saw that with Susech again, obviously scoring his header.
Apparently, it's been given as a Jimenez own goal, which is
And it has
a bit
been.
unfair.
Oh, is that official? Oh,
yeah,
that's
it's
official.
official. Yeah, I know. It is like it was a great header. It was going on target, so to give the guy the goal.
Yeah, I never understand when they change those sometimes. You go, well, it's on target, so why have you given that? So, pricks.
Yeah,
He's going to go home and cry now. Thanks, kids crying.
Yeah,
Mum's upset. And if we have, obviously, he had a goal as well from Haller, which is good because he's failed to score goals. Obviously, scored some goals in the week, didn't he? But for him, obviously, getting in the Premier League is a whole different thing. It does help when you're 3-0 up. And the other team is,
Well, it was only on for about 4 minutes and got a goal. Thanks to
good
Masuaku's delivery.
Let's say Masuaku again.
Yeah. He must have got man of the match. I don't know who got the man of the match, but he definitely should have. Or Bowen, I guess, with the 2 goals.
Yeah, one of them too. They're both excellent throughout the whole game, weren't they?
I don't know. If we obviously it shows something good for West Ham because against Arsenal last week, we actually played quite well. Obviously, we didn't get the result with that weird penalty.
You were robbed.
A weird penalty, not a decision when it was kind of handball, but it's kind of a weird one. But against Newcastle, we were terrible. Like, it made me think we were going to lose every single game of the season. Played better last week, and this week beat Wolves 4-0, which is unheard of, really, for us.
Well, for most teams, even.
Wolves don't get beaten up. Like, the Wolves are a great team. But we do have our next 4 games: Leicester, Tottenham, City, and Liverpool. So it's going to be a tough October.
Well, the two stats really I'll take from basically what you just said. West Ham have scored 3+ goals in 3 consecutive home matches in all competitions for the first time since March 2011. Obviously, that's an incredible stat. And the other one is Wolves suffered their heaviest Premier League defeat since March 2012 against Manchester United when it was 5-0. So we are seeing more goals. It's probably not really panic stations for Wolves, but they do seem to have this, don't they? You'd back them to win this game. I mean, everybody did really that I listened to, and a lot of the pundits and stuff, and they lose it. And that's just the little bit in Wolves which maybe just, they are still relatively new to the Premier League. They got new players, obviously. Semedo made his debut tonight, didn't he? Lost Doherty.
Yeah. Was Hoover?
Hoover did. Yeah.
Henry the Hoover. He started, Semedo was, I think he was all right. I didn't really see, obviously 4-0 doesn't sound very good. On his last game he played was for Barcelona, losing against Bayern Munich. So he hasn't had good last 2 games.
He's half the deficit, mate. I think he's gone from, 8 odd to 4, so he's doing quite well.
Yeah. So next week 2-0.
He's buzzing in the change room. He's like, come on, lads.
Yeah, come on, boys.
Chill out, boys, chill out.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, yeah, obviously fantastic result for West Ham, and they probably did deserve the points last week, so yeah, I don't think really you can say anything bad about that. So, Sheffield United 0, Leeds 1, Bamford, Ben, eat your humble pie again, and Burnley 0, Southampton 1, Ben, no humble pie, but that was actually a very nice goal for Southampton. So,
Danny Ings is a boy.
He is, and it was a fantastic assist as well. Did you see it?
Che Adams.
Really, really smart pass that was there. To assist that goal, but obviously these days in the Premier League, a 1-0 is
really weird.
It's
really
nothing
rare.
to me. 6 goals less than I need.
Yeah, 2 1-0 games in a row though, wasn't it? Last night's and this morning's with those 2 games. Had the goals out.
Yeah.
Quick question: when can we start being worried about Sheffield United? 3 losses now.
I was going to say that. Like, we sort of say, no, they'll be fine, and then all of a sudden you're like, actually, are you guys okay?
We've been saying it. Ramsdale is not a good keeper.
No,
he's made
was
some
good
saves.
in that game.
Yeah,
I think that's
he
you've
was
been
really
saying
good.
it, Dan.
That's
Yeah, no,
only
it's
you
true.
saying
You've
it.
got this mad thing against Ramsdale. You really want to talk about him every week.
I don't like the way he looks at people. He just looks funny.
If he wasn't for the Leeds goalkeeper being so good, he would have been probably the best goalkeeper this week.
Yeah, they
so
both.
put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Well, he didn't get a clean
Anti-Ramsdale
sheet,
part.
so
You wouldn't blame him for the goal, though. I think Sheffield United will be okay. When I did see that Burnley loss, though, obviously Southampton have been in we can say bad form. I mean, they've only played a couple of games, but Burnley, obviously, another loss. A little bit worried about them. Or do you think they'll be okay? They're sort of 2 teams where you feel like they'll be all right, Brett, or do you not agree?
Well, I'm hoping they will, but I think, Deitch again sort of alluded to the board again. I think it was very poignant that he didn't make one substitution during the game, I don't think. I think that was a sort of message to the board saying, I got nothing here, mate. Like, if you want me to change this game, I need some signings. So he's made it very clear he needs reinforcements, which he does, and he hasn't had that for years, really.
Well, and they're getting rid of Tarkowski. He's forced to move, isn't he?
Well,
maybe Leicester.
If they lose him as well, I feel they probably will have to make some signings. I don't know how good they will be, but Tarkowski's been an absolute colossus for him at the back for the last few years. So they need to really keep him, but they're not really showing that much ambition. And they didn't really do. Had a few chances, like Wood had quite a lot of chances and that. But Southampton, they looked better. We've slated them the last 2 games because of that high line. I think they finally decided to chill a little bit of that. You can see they're a lot more deeper, and it suited them. And obviously they've got the result now. Obviously, I'm hoping Southampton are going to be safe. So, yeah, that was a good win for Southampton, just to sort of, get the points on the board and sort of build from there now.
Yeah, and obviously a fantastic, obviously, as we just mentioned, but fantastic win for Leeds as well. Obviously another win. All good for Leeds, really. Okay.
And Bamford with the old, goal again.
It's just what he does, mate. Isn't it, Ben?
Can't be
just
stopped.
What he does. Isn't it, Ben?
Remember what you said about him, Ben? Remember that, Ben?
I still have no regrets. He was dog shit at Palace. He was dog shit at Norwich.
Or maybe Palace are dog shit. You thought about that?
What are you doing to strikers, mate?
Now, so,
Look what you did to Benteke, mate. Okay, now we can move on to Monday now. So, Fulham, Aston Villa, Liverpool, Arsenal, possibly the tie of the week on a Monday night. Gives you something to look forward to after your first day back at work. So, guys, what do you think? Fulham, Aston Villa? I'd probably side with
Weird time
Villa.
it's starting as well. 5:45. Weird time.
Yeah, 45 minutes to get home from work,
Yeah. Go, go, go!
Wasn't there a change, or was that just the Liverpool Arsenal game? Because that was originally going to be 8:15, wasn't it? But because of these new rules with the 10 o'clock shut, they actually moved it back 15 minutes to allow you to watch the full game in the pub.
It was.
That's probably why it's 5:45, because last week it was 6 o'clock.
Yeah, so they've had to move everything back 15 minutes to...
Oh, Corona, you silly, silly thing.
Boris, Christ.
Yeah, well, I think Fulham Aston Villa, I predict that Aston Villa will win 3-0.
Wowza. It'll be quite interesting. I think it'll expose who's...
That's an important game.
Who's the shittest team in the Premier League. No, but like, who's going to be most in trouble in a relegation battle? Like, if you're losing that fixture, then you want to be worried.
Yeah, they're like the must-wins for those sort of teams, aren't they? They're like proper head-to-heads. Like, later on, they'll regret not getting a result. So, I think, 2 different reasons, obviously, for both of the games, but both are very, very important for where each team respectively wants to end up in the table.
For sure. And just a note there, by the way, for our international listeners, is that here we have a sort of a 10 p.m. curfew for basically everywhere to close. So that's why these games have been moved back, just in case you're somewhere where you're allowed outside. Or maybe not.
Just in case you're somewhere where you have freedom. Yeah.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, because of the 10 o'clock, we actually moved a game. And we never move a game for anything, do we? I mean, you never get
true, yeah.
And we've done it just so people can finish the game in the pub or the bar, fucking hell. All right, okay, so to finish with Liverpool-Arsenal then, obviously Arsenal have done well against Liverpool, but Liverpool are the superior team. Do we expect to see a Liverpool win? I do.
Not necessarily.
Arsenal. I think Arsenal.
I think it's draw Arsenal,
Don't say that.
If Alisson isn't playing, then I think Arsenal will
especially that as well, yeah.
Adrian's a great keeper. What are we talking about? Better than Ramsdale.
You got Thiago, though.
I'm going to buy you a Ramsdale shirt for your birthday.
I will not accept it.
Yeah.
No, but it's, it's Killick versus Ellis, and I think Arsenal will win. Killick will be happy. Ellis will cry. Liverpool are going to get relegated.
Yeah, I don't
I'd take
think
a draw. Even if Alisson is playing, I'll take a draw. I think
it's a losing mentality, Ellis.
Arsenal are going to be one of the hardest teams to play in the league this year. I think.
Thiago gives you a new dynamic of which I think he can get you out of situations maybe you couldn't before. And I think even if we press you, he can just whip it round like it's his playground, and that.
Well, he's the one that might be out.
Yeah, so
Yeah, both facing fitness tests, Alisson and Thiago.
Oh, I read that he might be making his first start in the team.
Yeah.
now.
Apparently them two have fitness tests, apparently.
All right, well,
Hendo's already out, so I don't know. It's going to be an interesting.
5-0 Arsenal.
Yeah.
Aubameyang can't stop scoring. Oh my god, it's an onslaught.
knows. Try predicting anything in this Premier League so far this year. You can't, can you?
This is the guy that said Man United are going to be second.
I can predict it. I can predict it. This is what's going to happen.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
There's going to be a handball.
It's going to be someone's facing the other way.
Drama.
Yeah.
Actually, I might start putting money on that every single game.
Yeah,
Like,
odds are really low now, though.
Odds on for a handball penalty. I bet you win quite a lot of those.
Yeah, put 100 quid on. I think you get about 102 quid back now.
Yeah.
Put the money on for that not to happen. You might actually get a better return. But okay,
Get
guys.
£1 million.
So I think that wraps up. Obviously, as I said, we are going to be back midweek with our show to review these games and look ahead to the ones at the weekend. Hopefully, we'll be back with an Arsenal win. But if I'm not here, you know why. But no, thanks very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye, love you, bye.
Bye.
Yeah, goodbye.